All right, people, welcome back to the channel. Hope you're having a good day, a good start to your week. Thought I'd come on and make a video, but before I get into it, I would like to just address a couple of daft comments. So obviously, my last video about a guy backwards Bob, I had mentioned at the beginning how this group of youths had surrounded my kid, were threatening him, telling him to go on his knees and all this kind of shit, right? And somebody came in and commented, why didn't you you're a YouTuber, why didn't you record this? I think you're lying, blah, 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 what a fucking shit. Now, I don't know what kind of parent you are, but if my son phones me and I can hear on his phone that he's basically in trouble, the last thing I'm thinking about doing is grabbing my phone. The only thing I'm doing, mate, is grabbing my fucking trainers and getting busy, mate, getting down and dirty in the trenches. I think it was a pretty stupid comment to make, pal. And for your information, the incident was filmed, recorded, but it was the kids who were part of the planned attack on my son, and I have the videos on my phone, so it was recorded, just not by me. So the point I'm trying to make is, I'm not a YouTuber like you stated. I don't see myself that way. I see myself as a guy who's done a bit of time that's just trying to stay out of trouble and bring my kid up without getting into any more shit. All I want to say is, like, as I've stated, I don't know what kind of parent you are, mate, but if you were making a YouTube, you would basically be filming your child with 13 other youths around him, filming him, telling him to go on his knees. That's your answer, you'd film him. Well, no me, mate, I swing into action. So I suppose that's the difference between us. Because the video I made yesterday, as I said, was about a guy backwards, Bob, I called him, because he was backwards. But obviously I'd alluded to this incident at the beginning of the video. And then obviously I kind of mentioned about how Rangers were drawn one each in their shite. And somebody came on and wrote a comment about Rangers and was kind of, you could tell it was some mad bitter cunt. And I thought to myself, my team's falling apart, absolutely pish, and they're still living rent-free in your head. That sounds like a psychiatric condition, mate, to be fair. Like, I've come on and made a video. At the beginning, I've mentioned my son being basically attacked. And I've made a video about a guy who I knew for jail who was basically sentenced to a long term of imprisonment for the same type of shit that he's been doing, absolute scumbag. And out of that whole video, all you heard was Rangers, because I mentioned the score at the end. Sort your fucking life out. Like, who really gives a fuck? Is it that important to you? Really? It's not that important to me, mate, and I support them, know what I mean? But I just pinned the score to my phone, mate. It's diabolical, man. It's not even like what it's. I've said this for ages, said this for years. It's like you're not even watching Rangers anymore. But I'm not like the state you're in about it, mate. Like, you're following my channel and then I do a video, and out of that whole video, like, there's maybe like a 10-second clip about Rangers in a half-hour video, and that was the only bit you've got to comment about. Like, honesty, fuck, mate. Sort it out. But aye. Anyway, moving on. So as some of you know, I made a video a wee while back when I was upstaying with Ross. I was trying to think of content, so we went to this Islamic centre. So basically the plan was to speak to them about just about Islam in general, and do they feel like they're living in a hostile country? How do they think the Scots perceive Islam? All this kind of stuff, right? Educational purposes, shall we say. But I didn't know that this was the same place that some kid had tried to launch an attack, shall we say, right? Because obviously I wouldn't have went, because that I remember months ago I'd sent Ross a newspaper article. It said something about a teenager had tried to like set fire to a mosque or an Islamic cultural centre, whatever it was. Right now, I want to state that there's a difference between a mosque and a cultural centre. It's like Sunday school compared to church, right? It's different. But anyway, when we went there, I never put two and two together, and we went in and spoke to them and didn't make content out of that. But it wasn't until like the next day or later on that night I realised that was the same one that had been targeted by a local youth. So I'm like, fuck's sake. And then we went back the next day and there was reporters across the road with cameras and all that, filming it. So the boy who, the unidentified teenager, he's 17 now, who had planned to, sorry about that, he planned a terrorist attack. He has just been sentenced to 10 years in jail, which was just yesterday. So I want to kind of run through it and kind of pull up. It was the judge's final statement. So I don't know if everybody can see all this. Right, so this is in the Greenock Telegraph. So I'm sure you can see Greenock Mosque terror teenager. Judge's remarks in full. Now, I'm no terrorism expert, but I know an unsophisticated crime when I see one. So I'm going to run through this, and hopefully the screen doesn't turn black, so I know that keeps happening. Now, when I first seen this picture here, I was like, that's not the same street. This must be a different place, but apparently it is the same place. So hold on, right? A teenager who planned to carry out mass murder at a Greenock mosque intended to carry out a quite diabolical atrocity, the judge who sentenced him has said. Now remember, it says mosque here and it also says Greenock Mosque in the headline, right? But there's a difference between a mosque and an Islamic cultural centre. I just want to point out, I know I'm being pedantic, but this is partly the problem with the media. And a lot of people who try and debate stuff, they get their word, they just can't dialogue or like have an argument about it. Lord Arthurson handed the 17-year-old who can't be named because of his age an 18-year extended sentence with 10 years in custody and a further 8 on supervised release at the High Court in Glasgow on Thursday. Now, I just want to pause there and say an extended sentence basically. So when I got sentenced to 16 years in prison, it was actually 10 years in custody and 6 years on supervised release. But the thing is, I ended up serving like 14 years, 8 months, something like that, because I got recalled. So basically, he has got an 18-year sentence, but he'll be out after like, say, 9 years now because they've changed all the sentencing stuff. It used to be 2/3 you done. So like, if you got 10 years, you would have done 6 years, 8 months. That's what I done. But if you get out, you're out in license basically for another 10 years or something like that, 9 years or something like that. But anyway, here are the remarks made by Lord Arthurson in court in full. So this is it, how the judge's summation of the accused. On July 11th, 2025, at Glasgow High Court, pleas of guilty were tendered on your behalf in respect of a two-charge Section 76 indictment. These charges libelling, respectively, a contravention of the Terrorism Act 2006, Section 51A, and a contravention of the Terrorism Act 2000, Section 58, 1B. You are a young person, currently age 17. At the time of the offending before the court, you were age 16. The Sentencing Young People Guideline is accordingly engaged in this case. You have no previous convictions. Now, I just want to pause here and say that people under the age of 18 can only be imprisoned in Scotland now for like serious crimes. So, like, say, there's people getting off with a lot now because apparently there was suicides in the Young Offenders Institution, and so I went there at 16, but now they've lowered the age, they've upped the age to 18. You can't go there until you're 18 unless you like murder somebody or try and blow a mosque up. You know what I mean? I don't know if you try and blow a church up, if it's the same, but a detailed agreed narrative of the facts was read into the record on the date of your guilty pleas. A criminal justice social work report and risk assessment are also now available. In the narrative, it is recorded that you were attracted to Holocaust denial and developed sympathies with the Nazi Party. In the criminal justice social work report, which was prepared, of course, after the tendering by you in court of your pleas of guilty, it is notable that even now you continue to describe yourself as a Nazi. I find that a bit funny because Hitler and the Muslims, had a. I need to rephrase my wording. Hitler had a lot of support in the Middle East. So you appear, looking at the material before the court as a whole, to have become radicalised online, this process having commenced when you were aged only 13. You have viewed graphic depictions of extreme violence, including footage taken by mass shooters in the USA and elsewhere. You started to write a manifesto from November 2022. This document was never completed. This material contains hate-filled rants about Muslim and Jewish people, which I will not repeat. In one entry in late September 2024, you identify yourself as, quote, the sole culprit of the recent attempt mass shooting / bombing in Glasgow. When this is public, if all goes to plan, I'm 17 and under psychiatric analysis, getting help or dead. You were, of course, 16 when you wrote this entry. Now, this is quite interesting, right? Because this kid seems to have become radicalised online, right? And I was aware of previous reporting that this was an intelligence-led operation. So that would indicate to me that he has flagged up somebody online who's been monitoring his online activity. I wouldn't be surprised if it was like GCHQ, Cyber Command, and you might be like, that sounds tinfoil hat. Well, how do you think people like this get found? If there's a credible threat of terror, this is how you get found. Just trace your IP address and go pass it to the relevant authorities that are local and say, excuse me, Mr. Policeman in Greenock, but there's a guy here you might want to take a look at. He's posting all this crazy shit. Boom. There you go, mate. Doors in. Your manifesto disclosed that you had begun to formulate plans to carry out your own terrorist attack. An initial potential target was a high school. Fucking hell. On December 20th, 2024, you filmed yourself walking through the corridors of that school, stating off camera that, quote, stage one of your plan involved liquidating one of the school offices. Other videos include footage of you walking through school corridors describing what you intended to do and the enjoyment you would take from watching what would unfold. Sounds like you might have a grudge against teachers. authority, maybe both. Because see for this angle, right, when I was up Ross's bit, see that bit there, that where the cursor is, I can't remember like seeing that. I'm going, was that the same pitch? But I do remember that street and that wee building there, because there's a lot of wee in shot down here. In fact, wait, is that not it there? That is it. That's I'm sure that's it there, the place. In mid-December 2024, you began to formulate plans and to prepare for an attack on the Inverclyde Muslim Centre in Greenock. These plans involved the use by you of aerosols and lighters to set fire to the premises. You collected weapons and obtained substances to manufacture explosives. You infiltrated the centre and took videos showing the layout of the building. You collected images and maps of the centre and drew a map of its interior. You joined a messaging group made up of members from the centre and attended there, taking part in prayers with the congregation in order to learn the layout of the premises and who attended the centre. See, that was what was significant to me. That was, to me, the part that he joined this Islamic centre in order to recce and learn the movements and the exits and the entrances. That was probably the most sophisticated part of this plan. Everything else was just absolute fucking child's play. Not to minimise what he was intending to do, but I doubt if he was going to be successful with it. That's just my view on it. From January 10th, 2025, you communicated regarding your plans with another individual online. You discussed the benefits of reconnaissance and stated that you had, quote, infiltrated the place. You told that person that you would use a deodorant can and a lighter to start a fire and that you would use an imitation firearm, which people would believe was real, to prevent them from leaving the burning building. You asked that person to share a live stream of your attack in the centre, specifically requesting that a live stream of you burning down a mosque be shared along with your manifesto. From January 21st, 2025, you became agitated and anxious to carry out your attack. No, I'm not being funny, right? I'm no big man, but if you look me in if you set fire to my house and you had the door shut, but you've got a gun, an air gun, a water gun, any fucking gun, I'm tackling you, mate. I'm not staying there to get toasted, man. Fuck that. I'd rather get shot, mate. Or at least make a fucking an attempt at a dash, know what I mean? At around 1:10 a.m. on January 23rd, 2025, you told another person online that you intended to carry out your attack tomorrow. You would not be dissuaded from this and stated that the mosque would be at its fullest at 1 p.m. You referred to, quote, the minute I start burning them. You also prepared a final shorter version of your manifesto stating that, quote, I am hateful and want to kill. That is my sole motive in life. And it's what I intend doing, even if it costs me my life. You stated, tomorrow I will burn that fucking mosque to the ground. You sound a bit potty, mate, but misguided. You left home at 6 a.m, telling your friends at 7:20 a.m. that, quote, today I choose what my life was and will be. You attended at the centre in possession of the items I will mention shortly, all with the intention of setting fire to the premises and killing any persons therein. At 9 a.m, you attempted to enter the centre. You were observed by police officers to be dressed in black clothing and carrying a camouflage military-style rucksack, from which officers following your arrest recovered an imitation firearm, 4 cans of aerosol spray, and notebooks containing writing, sketches and symbols, including swastikas. I always get the swastika in there, mate. Know what I mean? Especially if cunts are drawn on shit. On arrest, you dropped a lighter between parked cars, which you confirmed you had been carrying. Your home was searched and weapons, ingredients for explosive substances and mass were recovered, along with a copy of Mein Kampf by Adolf Hitler. They always like to see anything, well, I read that in prison, but the only reason that I read that in prison was to read it. But I guarantee you, see if I was at, say I get fucking like charged with something tomorrow, that would be let's say there's like 300 books in my house. See the police search your house and they find that book, I guarantee you that's the one book they'll mention, mate. Know what I mean? Madness. But obviously in this context, it's appropriate, considering the views and considering what this boy set out today. But anyway, your mobile telephone was recovered. It contained the two documents referred to and charged to, namely the anarchist cookbook and improvised primary explosives. In this case, the Crown has made available to the court an expert report. I have considered it carefully. I do not propose to rehearse the full terms of this lengthy document, but note from it the following points. Your manifesto should be understood as a public declaration of intent. The terms of that document, to which the Crown expert had access, contain clear similarities in terms of components and content to certain notorious terrorists who proceeded to implement their own manifestos in the commission of terrorist acts. The narrative and underlying message of your own manifesto can probably be considered to be an extreme right-wing terrorist manifesto. So this is the street 100%. I just don't know why, see when they hang me, when I looked at it, I was like, that doesn't look like that. But it's sure here. Wait now. This is it, definitely. Aye. I'm trying to find, because he's just getting into all this legal stuff, I'm trying to find this, right, I've got to go here. The expert gives this opinion in conclusion. It also cites the attack intended to take place the day after the manifesto was written, and in parts is written in the past tense, suggesting that the manifesto was intended to be read after the attack had taken place. None of this can be explained as mere chance or coincidence. Far from it. This document can only be understood to be a manifesto. The Criminal Justice Social Work Report and Risk Assessment contained deeply troubling content. You stated to the authors that you take full responsibility for your offending, but appeared to them to have minimised the seriousness of that offending, albeit that you did demonstrate some remorse in respect of the manager of the centre. You discuss with the authors your admiration for certain notorious perpetrators of massacres, that you agree with their thinking and that you wanted to be known publicly like them. The authors refer additionally to certain adverse childhood experiences and to your diagnosis at the age of 5 in respect of autistic spectrum disorder. They report that you have no wish to change your views. You have been assessed as presenting a high risk of serious harm. There are no current identifiable factors that would interrupt an episode of such harmful behaviour. Your extremist views are not limited to the Islamic community. As such, the authors conclude it is impossible to predict who is at risk from you. The authors advise that without significant monitoring and risk management strategies, you're likely to reoffend in a similar manner, not only to cause harm, but also to gain notoriety. The authors expressly address the sentencing option of an order for lifelong restriction, which would require the making by the court of a risk assessment order. This is an option that I have myself considered very carefully. Their recommendation is that due to your young age and lack of maturity, it cannot be said at this stage that you lack the capacity to change, and that accordingly other sentencing options can be considered in your case. With some hesitation, I confirm that I am, on balance, inclined to agree with that recommendation. So I don't know. He'll probably do a year in like a secure unit before he goes to Pullman. So he'd went to this building armed with an air gun, in this place here. He'd went there armed with an air gun and like cans of aerosol spray and a lighter. Very, very crude, very like I think the worst case scenario that this kid would have set fire to this building. I don't. They would have probably have battered them, to be fair. But it's the intent. It's not the outcome. It's the fact that he intended to burn that place to the ground with the people in it. So that's what's obviously exacerbated the case. So he has been sentenced to 10 years, as I've stated. It's Glasgow High Court there. But for so you have I don't know, a young boy just fucked his life. Even if he gets out, or not even if he does get out, when he gets out, he's always going to be known for that. That's going to be I couldn't think of a worse charge apart from murder or rape to have on my previous offending. See any kind of terror charge, mate. You're never going to get another bite of the cherry. Do you know what I mean? It's just fucked up. But at the same time, you've got to like he's been radicalized online, so it's important for kind of parents to know what kind of stuff their children are getting involved in online and all that. Because it's not just Muslims that become radicalized. Know what I mean? That's just not the case. But it can be a lot more subtle because obviously it's almost as if people think only white people can be racist. To me, that is my views. It's like I've never heard not saying it's never happened, but like if somebody came up to me and made what would be classed as normally a racial statement, in my experience, they wouldn't even be charged. I remember seeing a Pakistani guy in prison calling somebody a white bastard right in front of prison staff. Nothing happened. But I could guarantee you if the shoe was on the other foot, you would have been removed from circulation. You would have been charged by the police, which actually did happen in my case. I was arguing with a Pakistani prisoner, but I was like abusive to him, but I didn't use any kind of racial epithets because I was teaching his pal English for 2 years or something. So why would I? They just say that to get rid of you because the screws almost believe it like straight away. But while I'm here, I would like to kind of jump onto this other thing, right? So we have the Scottish Labour leader here, Anas Sarwar, and they're saying that this is so he made a statement about like getting more Muslims in schools and public office and all that. Now, Anas Sarwar is the leader of the Scottish Labour Party, right? Pakistani origin, and I think that there was reports saying that this claim was taken out of context, and I'll get to my point in a minute. So, Scottish Labour leader Anas Sarwar has been targeted by racist attacks after a far-right social media account shared a clipped video of a speech he gave 3 years ago. For fuck's sake, look at this, man. Ukraine, everywhere you look, mate. Anyway, the anonymous account on Twitter, which uses an AI-generated profile image and has Union flags alongside the slogan, "We must take our country back," in its bio, posted the video on Sunday evening. I love how they pure load that sentence there. They've got union flags, fucking racist cunts. In the clip, Sarwar can be seen to advocate for better political representation for people from Pakistani and South Asian communities, saying that they will no longer be viewed as simply a vote bank by politicians, but instead will have the chance to influence change themselves. Remember that bit, right? The clip was reshared by figures including former UKIP leader Henry Bolton, GB News host Alex Armstrong, who claimed it proved, quote, multiculturalism has failed, and alt-right activist Lawrence Fox, who claimed it meant, quote, Sharia is coming. Here is what we know about the video. In the video, Anna Sarwar is shown giving a speech to a fundraiser dinner in honour of the 75th anniversary of Pakistani independence, hosted by Culture Asia. Never heard of it. The event took place in September 2022, and a full video of Sarwar's roughly 4-minute speech was uploaded to YouTube in January 2023. Before a clip from it was shared on Sunday, it had only 200 views and a single like. The clip shared by alt-right activists is 51 seconds long, meaning the majority of context has been stripped away. The clip version begins with Sarwar mid-sentence and ends mid-thought, which I find pretty strange that they're saying it's taken out of context when they just said at the start, right? Remember what they said, right? The Anna Sarwar said Pakistanis and South Asians will no longer be seen as a vote bank. A vote bank. We are going to start like influencing change. We are going to start becoming the politicians who influence policy, which to me could be the issue when you see what I'm about to show you, right? Because to me, this article is proving the point of the people who are talking about him, because he is a straw man. Anna Sarwar is a straw man for darker intentions. So where were we? Right, hold on. The clip shared by alt-right, right, so I said on it. Why was the video controversial? The clip shared by the far-right account on Twitter shows Anna Sarwar say, "We will only truly get real power, not if we just have more Pakistanis sitting in council chambers and parliaments, but actually having more Pakistanis and South Asians sitting in the corridors of power making the decisions." Notice it says more Pakistanis, but having more Pakistanis and South Asians. It didn't say more people. I don't see how this is taken out of context when the wording tells you all you need to know. And that's where I learned tonight, is to say the change is coming, and the days where our South Asian community are viewed as a vote bank or a curry bank are well and truly gone. A curry bank. Imagine even saying that. The days where South Asian communities get to lead political parties and get to lead countries is now upon us. Now remember how he says South Asian communities, right? He doesn't say, he's limiting that. It doesn't say minorities. He doesn't say, like, do you get what I'm talking about? He's limiting it to like Pakistan, Bangladesh, fucking, you get the drift. Afghanistan. So here's the tweet. Believe them when they tell you what they intend to do. All war is deception. All war is deception. And they can't beat us in the battlefield. So this is, to me, this is a form of cultural jihad, a stealth jihad, taking our, like, being groomed by more sinister people. GB News host Armstrong said of clip, Scottish Labour leader Anna Sarwar stands in front of a Pakistani flag, urging Pakistanis to take power in councils, parliament, political parties and countries so they can dictate what's taught in schools. Now, trust me, see what I know about Islam and Sharia law and all that, right? I'm not saying every Muslim is like this, but the ones who are like this are very dangerous, and they're more influential than any other group in the Muslim population, because the more kind of moderate ones, if you want to call them that, they're scared of them, literally. I would be scared of them as well, but so also sharing the clip, Fox, a former GB News host who was fired after a misogynistic rant about journalist Eva Evans. To be honest, I don't even know who these people are, but I'm just reading the article. Said, believe them when they tell you what they intend to do. Britain is just another land to be conquered, right? And that is one of the tenets of Sharia law. It actually is. Our culture, traditions, and heritage is to be erased and replaced with blasphemy laws and the erasure of women's rights. Sharia is coming. The replies to the video saw other users use racist language and stereotypes, as well as frequent references to the trope that Muslims aim to take over Western society and not integrate into it. Let me just stop you right there, right? That is not a trope. That is a fact. It's not a fact that every Muslim wants to take our Western civilization, right? That might be a trope, but there is people who that is the goal. And if I could highlight, if I could refer you to this book, right? Sharia, The Threat to America. It was published in 2010, right? It was written by the Center for Security Policy in Washington, D.C. So if this was published in 2010, that means it was written like probably either round about pre or post 9/11, right? And the fact is that one of the aims of Sharia law is to establish what they call the global caliphate, right? Like basically make the whole world bow to Mecca. And remember what it just said there, right? So we have Anas Sarwar, the leader of the Scottish Labour Party, but it was taken out of context. But he said more Pakistanis, more South Asians. He didn't say more minorities, which I would have expected him to say. Knowing what I know, what I've researched, what I've read, something fishy's afoot. Now, I want to draw your attention to something else, right? Now, remember what I just said there. So we have here Chaudhry Mohammed Sarwar, right, who is basically the father of the Scottish Labour leader. And I would like to kind of hold on, right? Hold on, my pals. Stop sharing screen. Boom. Wait a minute. Right. Right now, watch this video, right? Now, listen very carefully to this man's words, right? Very carefully.
And inshallah, time will come that there will be a law in place all over the world that there can be no disrespect to our beloved Holy Prophet Hazrat Muhammad Mustafa sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And lastly, I want to say, as brother Imam Qasim has said, that we love our beloved Prophet more than our parents, than our daughters, than our sisters, than our sons. So there is no way. The message is loud and clear from the people in Glasgow, Scotland, and 1.5 billion Muslims are over the world, that any disrespect to our beloved Prophet and any burning of Holy Quran will be unacceptable, intolerable, and the Muslims will not tolerate this. And inshallah, I am sure that we'll be able to pass the law with United Nations and with European Union that in future, if anybody commits this crime, they will be prosecuted and brought to justice.
Right, so when he said there, dumb feet, when they say we want to apply to the UN and the European Union to have this law where it's basically a blasphemy law, it's against the law to criticise Islam, it's against the law to criticise the Prophet, burn the book, all that, right? Now, I'm not saying I agree with that, but like, I agree with burning any holy book or whatever, but at the same time, I feel that this is basically the first step towards Sharia. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but in any other place, right, to formally have a blasphemy law in a secular country is no right. Like, we separate church and state, bro. Don't know if you noticed that. You've been staying here a while. I find that very, very disturbing. But what is also disturbing about this video, right, is hold on till I show you something. Right, so hold on. Right, so
The people.
So can you see this? See that guy right there? That guy right there. He owns my local shop. What is he doing at a blasphemy, a pro-blasphemy law rally? And the only reason that I'm kind of bringing all this up is because obviously you know I do read a lot of shit into this, right? So that book I've read that I'm going back through it because obviously I find it hard to kind of try and keep all the information inside my head because I've not been studying it that long. So I've been studying it for like 2015, whatever. Now you might think that's a long time, but it's not really when you consider the amount of information that you need to take in, right? Now, there's one of the things that that is I've noticed, because this is all got the hadiths and all that, and they use the Islamic texts and hadiths and all that to prove their point. And one of the things is they want to stop is the criticism of Islam, any sort of research into it, all that kind of stuff. Because if you research it, then you can find out maybe things that are maybe not so palatable. It was like at school, right? My kid came home with homework one day, and it was all about learning about Islam, right? And I was like, how have you never brought home homework before? I says, are you learning about Buddhism, Sikhism, Christianity, anything like that? And he says, no. And I'm like, well, you're not doing that homework. So what ended up happening was when he went in and told the teacher, she said, this is now a police matter. So I wasn't happy about that, was I? So I phoned the school and told them to get that teacher to phone me. And it was another teacher that phoned me who is very well versed in Islamophobia, Islam, Christianity, all that stuff. And she was in total agreement with me that if I don't want my son learning about that, then he doesn't need to learn about it. The schools know the fucking parent here, Amma. And the quicker you realise that, the better. Because if you want to teach them about it, teach them the other side of it. Don't just sit and go, oh, they pray 5 times a day, or they wear a yarmulke, or Protestant and Catholics and all that shit. Teach them the ugly side as well. Do you know what I mean? Don't teach them this watered down shite. You know what I'm talking about? I don't like that. But and I didn't like the fact that she said she threatened me with the post because I wasn't letting my son study it. Fuck's sake, my son will find out half me. Like, no half a teacher that's dishing out fucking bits of paper. She probably doesn't even know about it herself. Like, I'm no scholar on Islam. Don't ever take it that I'm making that out. But I've read enough to know that there is a very, very real danger in this country where we're being gaslit into no questioning it. And I'm done being gaslit, to be honest. I get that there's a lot of bad people of all walks of life out there. But if you look at the global terrorism index, it's over 95% of the attacks in the world are perpetrated by jihadists. Now, we all know what a jihadist is. And that's what's worrying as well. And see, the minute I see, like, I would criticise like a Christian terrorist or a Sikh one or a Jewish one, whatever. But when over 95% of the world's terror attacks are by a certain group, the same group, you need to take notice of that, mate. So there's more to this than meets the eye, and I know this is completely unrelated to the boy getting the 10 years. I just wanted to kind of bring this in to the video because it's actually pretty scary. Now, I'm not saying the people in that Islamic Cultural Centre in Greenock could any terror, like whatever. I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying is there's a lot of dangerous ones out there, and the ones who aren't involved refuse to condemn them because they don't condemn their fellow brothers and sisters, as they call it. So that's how I think a lot of people are just like, no, but just on the side of caution. You don't know who's who and what's what. Do you know what I mean? It's pretty frightening. But I suppose knowledge is power in it. Try and stay one step ahead and hopefully fucking make it through life without anything happening to you, you know what I mean? It's fucked up, mate. But anyway, I hope you all have a nice night. Me and Christopher are going to our first class tonight together, so I'm looking forward to that. Get a wee whatever. It's my first time at this gym, so see what it's all about, and hopefully I can keep up, man. Cause I've been away a while. If this place we're going to is like that Aikido I was going to, I don't think I'm ever going to use that, to be fair. Maybe if I'd just learned that, aye, but no, when you've done a wee bit of this and that, man, to me it's like, I'm not going to end up not using that, know what I mean? So I've got to go to this. It's like an all-in-one gym. It's like your weights, it's got kickboxing, it's got jiu-jitsu, it's got MMA, whatever. So that's where we're going tonight. So hopefully it's a good time. But anyway, thank you everybody for listening. And take care, and I'll speak to you all next time I'm back on. Take care.